I am your substitute teacher, Mr. Pacitti, and this is Tom's Classroom. So put away your Jackie Chans, put away your mashed potato, it's time to concentrate, it's time to study. This is Monday Night Raw, and this is Graded. We kick things off with your new WWE champion. Are you butthurt about it? It's The Miz. He comes out, plenty of pyro. He hugs his little buddy Jomo. He poses. A little bit more pyro too, for good measure. He asks us, the WWE Universe, how do you like me now? And a really touching tribute to Bob Holly. And then he says, 16 years on from being signed by WWE, he's still here, he's still standing, in a lovely touching tribute to one Elton John. He talks about how he is the first two-time Grand Slam champion in WWE history. An incredible accolade. But he is quickly interrupted by Bobby Lashley and MVP. Montel congratulates The Miz on his shiny new toy, but he says that, hey Miz, you omitted the part where Bobby Lashley is the man who destroyed Drew McIntyre, allowing you to capture that title, and you have a business obligation to fulfill. Because Jomo ballsed up Bobby Lashley's US title defense earlier in the night at Elimination Chamber. Now Bobby Lashley gets first go at the WWE title. Miz tries to back out. He's like, mate, I've got too much going on right now. I'm really stressed out. It's not easy being WWE champion. But Bobby Lashley's like, piss off, mate. You've got 1 hour to give me an answer. And that is your lot. Nothing special as far as the segment goes. It was fine. It was alright. I wouldn't go back and rewatch it or anything like that, but it served its purpose, so it gets a B-. It set up the main storyline thread for the rest of the night. Up next, it's time for a wrestling match, and John Morrison's already out there, so why doesn't he have a lovely little scrap with the new United States champion, Riddle? Go on then. Really nice match here, probably the best of the night actually. These two have heaps of chemistry together, and we saw some of that in the triple threat match on Sunday night, but it was good to see them in singles action last night. And a few really nice spots in this one too. We saw a great diving knee to the outside by John Morrison, there was a brilliant superplex on the ring apron, there was a floating bro to the outside of the ring, there was a top rope Spanish fly. Basically, this was the sort of match that you wouldn't feel too shortchanged if it was on pay-per-view, but here it is free on bloody Monday Night Raw. Anyway, fast forward a bit, Morrison looks to hit Starship Pain but doesn't manage it, eats a bro Derek, 1, 2, 3, Matt Riddle picking up the win and a B+ from his favourite substitute teacher. Next up, we get a vignette teasing the arrival to Monday Night Raw of one Rhea Ripley. Right, let's get this out of the way. Have an A. She's coming to Monday Night Raw. I can't wait. Please don't balls her up, Vince. Seriously though, I really hope WWE are able to undo some of the damage that they did to Rhea Ripley in 2020. We all thought 2020 was going to be Rhea Ripley's year, and WWE truly messed it up, and it was such a shame because she's so talented. The WrestleMania match with Charlotte, the result of it anyway, was an absolute disaster, and now it looks like WWE are rushing the breakup of Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Obviously plans have changed because of the Lacey Evans stuff. Now it looks like they're rushing the breakup of those two. Maybe, just maybe, we're going to get Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair in a rematch for the Raw Women's title, and that is something that I would like to see, assuming that the result is the right one, which is obviously Rhea Ripley going over. So yeah, in my head, at least if I was booking this, Asuka and Charlotte Flair would split up on Raw, and then we get a Raw Women's title match at Fastlane. Asuka drops the title to Charlotte, everybody will be super pissed off, but it'll be worth it when Rhea Ripley pins Charlotte Flair at the granddaddy of them all, like she should have done last year. Anyway, moving on. Quick backstage segment with R-Truth, Bad Bunny, and Damian Priest. R-Truth calls him Bugs Bunny. It's all very good stuff. But anyway, it's time for a tag team match. The New Day taking on T-BAR and Mace of Retribution. A pretty unremarkable match, really. The heels dominating in the early stages, but Kofi Kingston doesn't even have to bother with the hot tag. Instead, he nails Trouble in Paradise twice, picks up the win in no time at all. After the match, Mustafa Ali grabs a mic and goes bozo on every member of Retribution, not just the two involved in the match. He is fed up. He's finally realised that they are rubbish. Took him long enough, to be honest. So it looks like that faction is over, which is absolutely tragic, really, because they were my favourite WWE stable since, like, the core. The match gets a C-, but really it wasn't much of a match at all. It was all about the post-match shenanigans, the post-match promo from Mustafa Ali. And so yeah, that's it for Retribution, and I think that is the right thing to do, unfortunately. WWE are completely at blame for messing this up. You've got some really, really talented wrestlers in that faction, but they have booked them to look like absolute jokes. Not just the booking, the presentation is obviously awful, the names, the masks, they were DOA. Essentially, they really, really were. So hopefully we'll see most of the members head back to NXT, take their masks off, get their real names back, and then hopefully they do something proper with Mustafa Ali, because the guy truly, truly deserves it. He has got everything needed to be a star. He's great in the ring, he's great on the mic. Time will tell. Fingers crossed, you know. End of hour 1, so here comes Bobby Lashley, followed by The Miz, who is here to answer Bobby Lashley's ultimatum. However, Miz certainly doesn't look ready to wrestle. He's got his best Georgia Asda suit on, he's not in ring gear, and he says to Bobby Lashley, "I need more time, Bobby." And Bobby's like, "You're wasting my time, you bath turd." But Miz insists that he's got too much on his mind, he needs more time, and then he's interrupted by Braun Strowman. Braun, in his best wrestler voice, says, "If anybody deserves a WWE title shot, it's me." And then he says he's more clarified for a WWE title opportunity than Bobby Lashley. What? Next out is Shane McMahon, and Shane comes out, they're pumping in the Shane O'Mac chants, obviously, and he basically calls Braun Strowman a bit of a wally. He says, "You're an idiot, Braun. Why are you getting pissed off that you weren't in the Elimination Chamber match? That was for former WWE champions. You're a former Universal Champion, you big silly." Anyway, long story short, Braun Strowman versus Bobby Lashley is set up for later in the night. If Braun Strowman wins that match, he's added into the WWE title match next week to make it a triple threat. To end the segment, Bobby Lashley chop blocks Braun, and that's your lot. This is another pretty unremarkable segment, to be honest. It was just a lot of admin. I'll give it a C+, but it was good to hear that Braun Strowman is more clarified than Bobby Lashley. Shelton and Cedric versus Lucha House Party up next. MVP on commentary to big up his boys. And this was a very, very one-sided affair. Shelton and Cedric with big strikes, big power moves, and I really actually enjoyed this one. Although it wasn't a great match or anything, it's good to see Shelton and Cedric being positioned as dominant tag team champions, because I think a lot of us thought that they might split them up after not too long, so it's good to see that they're on the same page. Fair play to Lucha House Party for selling like mad and making them look fantastic in the process. Shelton picking up the win for the Hurt Business with pay dirt, and yeah, decent enough match. I mean, it wasn't a great wrestling match or anything, but it served its purpose once again. I'm going to give it a B-. Damian Priest, accompanied by Bad Bunny, of course, taking on Angel Garza up next. And I was a little bit worried when I saw the match graphic for this one, because I thought it was going to be a squash, which I think would be a shame, because Angel Garza is so unbelievably talented, really, really, really charismatic as well. And he was one of the standouts of Raw last year. In 2020, when Raw, even in front of no crowd at all, him, Andrade, and a few others, but they really, really stood out as sort of holding the show together. So I was a bit worried that they were just going to, squash him. But it was pretty back and forth, actually. Angel Garza getting in a fair bit of offense, doing his shtick. But obviously, it didn't work out for him in the end, which is the right decision. I'm not complaining about the result or anything like that. Damian Priest hit the lights for the win. I know it feels like I breezed past that match, but there's not that much to say, really. It's a shame that they don't seem to know what to do with Angel Garza when it's all there for them, ready built. He's got such a great character already. But at the same time, I'm not going to complain too much, because Damian Priest at this point feels to me like a really, really big deal after not that long on Raw at all. I like his relationship, his on-screen relationship with Bad Bunny. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about Bad Bunny, but there are a lot of wrestling fans getting super pissed off about the celebrity involvement and all that stuff. We've seen it time and time again. But first of all, celebrity involvement in wrestling is nothing new. In fact, it's a big part of why we're all watching wrestling today, because of the celebrity involvement all the way back in the 80s. But also, Bad Bunny to me comes across as a proper wrestling fan. He's not just there for a payday, he's there week in, week out, and he's helping to elevate somebody as talented as Damian Priest. So it's a thumbs up from me. Oh, and after the match, the usual suspects run out to try to get their hands on the 24/7 title. But that's not going to happen with Damian Priest there now, is it? Idiots. Next up, quick backstage promo by Randall Keith, and he is pissed off. He's pissed off because he lost the gauntlet match, he lost at Elimination Chamber, and it's all because he's distracted. But he's not distracted by The Fiend. No. He's distracted by Alexa Bliss. Preaching to the choir, mate. I have been for the last 5 years. You should see my search history. And then, all of a sudden, Randy Orton starts spewing licorice or something. This black goo starts coming out of his mouth. He's spluttering and it's all down him. It's ruining his best outfit. All felt a little bit Papa Shango to me. I'm not sure it worked entirely. And the commentary team afterwards, selling it like somebody had just passed away or something. They seemed absolutely mortified by the whole incident. It was a bit weird. I will give it a C-. Generous. Next up, it's time for Charlotte Flair and Asuka to take on Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the first time this match has ever happened. I've never seen it before, so that's pretty cool. A totally fine match here. Not so fine for Asuka, however, who took a really stiff kick to the mouth and lost a tooth in the process. It was Shayna doing the kicking, by the way, not Nia. So well done, Nia. Honestly, a totally fine match again, but it's another one that it was really all about the finish here. So Charlotte Flair accidentally booting Asuka's face off. Asuka had a really rough night of it last night, I think it's fair to say. So she hits the big boot on Asuka by accident, and then Nia takes advantage, hits the leg drop. 1, 2, 3. Nia and Shayna picking up the win. This gets a B-. It was an alright match. Nothing to complain about or anything like that, but I wouldn't lose sleep if you didn't happen to catch it. Again, it was all about the finish. And after the match, Charlotte Flair trying to talk to Asuka. Asuka's there holding her mouth because she's just lost a bloody tooth. Clearly very, very pissed off with Charlotte Flair. And probably a little bit pissed off with Shayna Baszler as well. So it looks like that's the end for the tag team of Charlotte Flair and Asuka, which is a total shocker because I thought they were going to be together forever. For years and years and years. No, I didn't. So yeah, at this point, it's pretty obvious that we're either going to get Charlotte versus Asuka for the title at WrestleMania, maybe Charlotte versus Rhea at WrestleMania for the title. That's the match that I would like to see. The one thing that I don't want to see happen is for this to be turned into a triple threat match, so Charlotte doesn't have to eat the pin, which they might end up doing. We'll see. In fact, I'm going to start a campaign right now. Hashtag Charlotte eat pin WrestleMania. That'll definitely catch on. Charlotte needs to eat the pin at WrestleMania. Whether it's Asuka going over or Rhea Ripley going over, Charlotte needs to lose clean at this year's WrestleMania. Please let that happen. And if that doesn't happen, I'll tell you what, Vince, I'm going to complain on Twitter, you little bastard. Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus up next, and another completely fine match. And that was the theme last night. The matches were all fine. Nothing really stood out. I like Jeff Hardy. I like Sheamus, but it's very difficult to care when nothing's on the line. There are no real consequences here. This one didn't last too long at all. It really felt like they packed a lot into the third hour of Raw last night as well. Sheamus picking up the win with a brogue kick and a B-. Why the hell not? Not really sure what either of these men are going to end up doing at WrestleMania. There are a few possibilities. Sheamus, if Drew doesn't get involved in the world title picture again, which I think he will, by the way. There's enough history there to have like a big boy grudge match between Drew and Sheamus. They could both get involved in the US title picture. We could see a multi-man there, maybe, if they're short of things to do. But I think it wouldn't surprise me if both of these men end up getting relegated to the armbar, to be honest. Naomi and Lana versus Dana and Mandy up next, and neither of these teams get an entrance. Even though Dana and Mandy have been together for some time now, they feel completely thrown together, as do Naomi and Lana, obviously, and Jesus Christ, the women's tag division is just a state. Naomi and Lana win after a few minutes, and you know what? It's obvious WWE doesn't care about this division, so why should we? This felt completely thrown together, just like the teams themselves. I'll give it a generous C- because I'm a very nice man, but yeah, it was just a match. They get a future tag title opportunity, by the way. Well done on your grade and your future title opportunity. I want to be, I feel like such a dick sat here doing this because like I really want to care. I really want to care about these wrestlers, but WWE just giving us absolutely no reason to. Next up, and as I say, bloody hell, they squeezed a whole lot into the third hour of Monday Night Raw. It's Ricochet versus AJ Styles in a singles match. And again, it's really not clear what either of these men are going to be doing come WrestleMania either. Really solid little match, as you would expect from two tremendously talented wrestlers. A few nice moments with Ricochet where he's like failing to get the job done and he's getting frustrated, showing he's got a bit of fire in his belly as Ricochet. So some nice potential character development there. Hopefully they run with it. Maybe a heel turn down the line. He feels like a natural babyface, but I'd certainly be interested to see what he could do in WWE as a heel. Anyway, AJ wins with the Styles Clash, and this match is a decent match. It was a decent match. It really was. It didn't last very long. It should have been given maybe a little bit more time. It gets a B, and then after the match, Omos gets in the ring and hits the double arm choke slam on Ricochet, totally laying him out. Does it have a name, the double arm choke slam? It's the thing that Carly used to do. Look like that. Just like that. So decent enough stuff, and just hopefully they figure out what to do with Ricochet. I don't mind him picking up these losses and maybe getting battered week in, week out if it leads to something, but he's just another guy that they don't seem to know what to do with. Main event time now, and it's Lashley versus Strowman in a battle of the meaty, muscly, manly men. Miz comes out to ringside to watch the proceedings, and then it starts off hot. Lashley hitting a shooting star press, Braun Strowman with a double moonsault, and then dives to the outside with a beautiful 630. I'm obviously talking bollocks. They hit each other really, really hard and hit some big power moves, obviously. There was a really great moment toward the end where Bobby Lashley kicked out of Braun's finisher. Braun hitting the running power slam, and then 1, 2, and it got me. It really, really got me. It was a big moment. It's not a finisher that gets kicked out of all too often. And then fast forward a little bit further, and Bobby Lashley nailing the spear on Braun Strowman to put him away. And it really finally feels like they're investing in Bobby Lashley. This is the most that I've been invested in Bobby Lashley ever. In his WWE career, he did great stuff in Impact, and I don't want to discount that, but in WWE, I've never really cared that much. And then he did the stuff with the Hurt Business, obviously, and that's been brilliant. I think he's been one of the best US champions in recent memory. I think he really elevated that belt. So I'm very, very excited about the fact that he's now in the world title picture. And he's a guy who deserves to be WWE champion at this point. So I don't think many of us expected Braun Strowman to win this match because he's obviously being set up for a program with Shane McMahon, because Braun Strowman does silly things at WrestleMania, like win the tag titles with a child, or gets involved in the armbar with celebrities, or wins the Universal title. Silly. This was a decent enough match. Who doesn't love big lads just going at it? So it gets a B+ from me. After the match, Lashley lays out The Miz with a spear of his own and poses with the WWE title to close the show. Ooh, you don't want to touch it, you don't want to pose with something because then you never win it. Hopefully he does win it at some point. Although I'd be a bit disappointed if Miz didn't hold it for too long. He's saying it everywhere that he's not going to be a transitional champion. He guarantees it. We'll see, but there are a lot of possibilities. It really feels like we're very much on the road to WrestleMania now, and it's shaping up already to be what looks like a pretty damn decent show. Looking forward to it. Obviously, it's WrestleMania. I'm stating the obvious here, aren't I? Anyway, right, this show gets a B-. Nothing big as far as matches goes. Like, there were no real standout matches, but what it lacked in great in-ring action, it made up for in storyline development. Everything that happened sort of made sense, and it wasn't the most exciting episode of Raw by any means, but still enjoyed it. And you know what? It flew by last night. I don't know if that was just me, just because I'm full of coffee, but yeah, it was a pretty decent show. B-. Anyway, cheers for watching. I've been Adam Pacitti, your substitute teacher. Tom's away for 2 weeks, so you've got me next week as well. Sorry about that. You've got lovely Andrew Dingle on NXT Graded this Thursday, so keep an eye out for that. I'm back on Twitch for the first time in about a month or so. So if you like old episodes of Supermarket Sweep and me swearing enough for people to send me very angry emails on an almost weekly basis at this point, then do check that out. 6 p.m, twitch.tv/Cultaholic. All the best, bye!